All righty, everybody. Welcome to the Power Hour with Preston, presented by Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Appreciate them for sponsoring the show. Got a really cool guest on today that I'm just very personally excited about. As you can notice, the gear behind me is a bit different than you'd usually see. This is a jersey donated me from my church and signed by Michael Clayton, who will be our show host tonight, or our show guest tonight. I apologize. Mike is a good guy. Went to my high school. A little personal story about me. When I was a kid, my house burned down 2 days after LSU won the national championship in 03. And Mike stepped up big time and donated this jersey to me and my family and a bunch of other cool LSU championship apparel. So it's a fun personal thing. So for him tonight, of course, I've decided to pull out his gear, my high school jersey, rocking the high school ring. I got to play around with his old high school teammate, Rashawn Matthews. He's, of course, now a coach for Woodlawn. So we're going to bring Mike on. He's going to be on in about half an hour. So y'all stay tuned. Real good stuff coming from Mike Clayton. Of course, he's in that rare category. Super Bowl champion, national champion. It's just rarefied group. And of course, those guys are becoming more and more common as LSU's now won 3 national championships in the last 20 years. And these guys are starting to win Super Bowls and whatnot moving on. But of course, Mike was one of the first ones to do that in a long time. He went on to play with the New York Giants. Another interesting connection I'm looking forward to talking to Mike about is he played with Brad Johnson for a year with the Bucs. That's, of course, father of LSU quarterback Max Johnson. So definitely looking forward to talking to Michael Clayton tonight. It's been a interesting week. You know, it seems like this has been the quietest week in terms of the hot seat talk that I've seen yet. And I think it's because the team played well, but also I think people get a little tired. You can't just talk hot seat for that freaking long without, having something interesting to say about it. So if y'all are watching, I appreciate it if you share to your groups. If you're on YouTube, thank you for watching. Of course, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and check out all the good stuff we're doing at TigerBait.com. We, of course, are brought to you tonight by Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, home of the ribeye roll, which is the best piece of meat. It's ribeye wrapped in cream cheese, bacon, jalapenos, good stuff. They have Chairman's Reserve Wagyu beef, 30 kinds of meats and sausage. They have lunch deli available every day till about 5 o'clock, and it's really good. You get their ground beef burgers. I had one today. It was incredible. They do catering. They are your tailgating and homegating headquarters. They are open on Saturdays to serve your LSU needs. And we're going to hear from them real quick.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremontes.com.
And of course, we have Josh Forbes. What's up? What's up, Josh? Josh is always on this show every single week. I really appreciate him for being a part and always having some good, insightful comments. What's up, Josh? Cam Rogers with a great comment right off the bat. Do you think LSU DC can outcoach Mike? Of course, we're talking Mike Leach. Chip Kelly took him to school. Very good comment. Very insightful. Thank you, Cameron Rogers, for an awesome comment. Honestly, I don't think this coaching staff collectively can outcoach Mike Leach. I do think Mike Leach is a good scheme coach. And typically people are asking about coaching. They just mean the scheme, the game plan, there's a lot more that goes into overall coaching, of course, but no, I don't think. Now, do I think LSU will out-talent this Mississippi State team? Absolutely. I expect them to. Do I think LSU will make enough coaching adjustments to win this game? I do. And I expect LSU to cover. I think LSU is 2-point favorites. It's the spread has moved all over the place. I expect LSU will win by at least a full touchdown. I expect that. So no, I don't expect this team to outcoach them. I mean, the coaching job that they've done this year thus far has been kind of mundane. And one of the things about Ed Ogeron, he's a very reactive coach. He will see what is needed from a game and he will make adjustments. And he will do whatever it takes to get the team to turn around as best of his ability. He's not going to sit there and see, man, we're having some issues throwing the ball. I'm going to keep my quarterback in there and keep on running toss stops. That's not Ed Ogeron. And I keep on likening, how, this team was in a little bit of a rut first two games to the 2017 where LSU was looking bad. Well, Coach O kept that team's head in the game. They bounced back and won some big time games that year, and they finished 9-4, which, is not a great stellar season by any stretch, but compared to what they were looking like when they were losing to Troy, that's a great turnaround. So I do expect them to make some more adjustments. They made some last week. Are they enough? Here's adjustments I want to see. Yo, guys, I've seen enough. I really have. I mean, and a lot of times you don't like to jump to early conclusions. There's no reason Corey Kiner should not get the first snaps at running back and get the majority of them there afterward. I mean, y'all tell me what you think. I mean, I talked about on the show. I mean, I know why you'd be hesitant to put him out there because as a coach, you're a little afraid of the east-west runner, get in trouble, all that good stuff. He's a true freshman, might miss this. I don't care how good you are at blocking and how great you are of a disciplined north-south runner. Corey Kiner's got moves. He threw guys. I don't even care that it's CMU and Mason McNeese, okay? Because we saw your other options against those same teams, and it was just strictly better. Tyrion Davis-Price is averaging about 2.4 yards per carry this season. Corey Kiner, 5.7. 2 touchdowns. No touchdowns for Tyrion Davis-Price. Look, I think Tyrion Davis-Price is a good serviceable back who can come in, and if there's a good hole, he'll hit it hard and he'll run fast and he'll be physical. However, he's not a good fit for a team with a struggling offensive line. Corey Kiner is your guy for a struggling offensive line. He'll make a guy miss. He'll spin. He'll do what it takes, even if he's hitting the backfield. And look, not every back is the kind of back who's going to be able to make something when they're getting hit 2 yards in the backfield. But Corey Kiner is. Give me Corey Kiner. I do want to see some more Mooney Goodwin when he gets back. Of course, he had one healthy run we saw, but he looked really good for that healthy run. Give me Corey Kiner. Give me him. I want to see him. That's my number one talking point here. Of course, other freshmen I've been calling to see, Mason Smith, he's making a very interesting transition. Now, of course, last week he played some defensive end. I was like, I kind of dig it. Unfortunately, Andre Anthony playing in his newish position. He kind of was that outside linebacker. Now he was a down defensive end this year. Of course, Andre Anthony tore his ACL. That is so tragic for the 6th-year senior. You hate to see that. That's my same reaction I had when Miles Brennan hurt himself is, man, I really did not want to see that from that guy. I really wanted to see him bounce back, and that is so unfortunate. So for Andre Anthony out, of course, they're sliding out Mason Smith. I kind of like it. He's got that slender frame. Almost reminds me, like, as a defensive end, almost like a Marcus Spears body frame type. I mean, big-time potential. We'll see. I thought he'd be a pure defensive tackle, but I could see him being a nasty defensive end. I mean, a real nasty defensive end. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing other freshmen play because, quite frankly, the young talent on this team is outperforming the veteran guys. I mean, and it's sad, but I don't see a great number of veteran players on this team that are true impact players. It's time to give these guys a try. Jack Besh, he's right behind Butte. I mean, that dude is a player. I put out a Twitter poll after the game, who's your number 2 receiver? Of course, the lion's share of the vote agrees with me. It was Jack Besh, but then also Deion Smith. So I want to see that. I want to see some scheme adjustments. I don't think this offensive line is an offensive line that's going to play spectacular football anytime this season. I've heard a lot of guys talk about the rah-rah, take some pride, play, and yes, do need to fix issues. Okay. Schematically, you got a lot of problems, but you also got problems getting bullied. I mean, there's some serious talent and just manpower issues, and you don't fix those overnight. You don't. Take some time and take some development and takes a lot of really good recruiting. So I think you just scheme around it. I think you call some screens, you call some quick RPOs, you dink and dunk, you be wise. And Max Johnson, of course, hadn't been perfect, but I think he's got to get the ball out a little quicker on some plays and let him run a little bit. He's got legs, he's got an arm, let him use it at the same time. So I'm looking for some adjustments, but no, the ultimate answer is no, Cameron Rogers. I do not think LSU will outcoach Mike Leach, but I do think LSU will out-talent Mike Leach. Tony Williams, how's it going? What's going on, Tony? Thanks for joining us. Mark Tyree, what's your score prediction for this week against Mississippi State? I'm going to go 34-28. That's what I'm going to go. I think LSU covers, but not much. 34-28. Will Rogers is no slouch. Yo, that was one thing I was going to get on. Look, Mississippi State hasn't looked great as a team this year. Of course, they lost to Memphis last week. And they beat NC State by 14 points, but then they only had a 1-point win over Louisiana Tech, and you expect a little more. But Will Rogers, he's thrown the ball 163 times in 3 games. Do the math real quick, guys. He's throwing it like 54 times a game. And you know what? What's wild, he's throwing it 54 times a game. He's completing 75% of his passes. And 8 touchdowns and 1 interception. I mean, that is really, really freaking good. Will Rogers is no joke. And of course, he's got 1,100 yards. These are spectacular numbers. He's going to throw some passes on you. Those DBs got to be ready. Derek Stingley has missed a few coverages, but he's been a pretty darn good player. Here's the deal. He only had 3 balls thrown at him against CMU. And he only allowed 1 catch for -1 yard. They're avoiding Elias Ricks and Derek Stingley Jr. like the plague. The only time they get passes thrown is when there was some sort of communication error and the coverage was missed. So you got 2 corners playing well, and the safeties are playing well for the most part. Really, teams are looking to pick off those linebackers in coverage, which I think is getting better. We'll see. I think the defensive line has stepped up enough. It's kind of hidden a lot of those flaws. LSU is the #1 team in the country for sacks. That's awesome. That's a big statement coming from a D-line that genuinely struggled last year. Big statement. You've got the #1 sack leader in the country, B.J. Ojulari. And then guys like Mason Smith, guys like Neil Farrell playing well. Jacobian Guillory has played well in limited action. I don't want to see Mason Smith off the field. I really don't. I've been so impressed with him. I want him out there 80% of snaps. So, yeah, we'll see. This is going to be Durante Jones' big test. He did not get a passing grade against UCLA. I knew before that game that it was a bad matchup for this team. This is a good matchup for this team. This is a real good matchup for this defense. You want to talk about like the 5-man wide spread option attack? I'm sorry, guys. I'm checking my phone a little bit here. Michael Clayton is he's on his way home. He got caught in a wreck coming home from his daughter's volleyball game. So I'm trying to keep an eye out on my phone and see when he'll be popping in here. Should be here in a few minutes. But anyways, this 5 wide pass, 54 pass a game team. That's LSU's defense's bread and butter. Let those pass rushing defensive ends get after you. Let Derek Stingley get some lockdown coverage. Let Eli Ricks do his thing. Go ahead. Challenge Eli Ricks. Challenge Stingley. I dare you. Go ahead. There's not a team in the country who, if they throw directly at Derek Stingley and Eli Ricks, that they're going to win that football game. Because those are the best 2 corners in the country, period. The problem is those other spots. I mean, I always bring up the faux Pelini tweet last year. If you look at that play, several other players were well covered. Well, one guy was open, so it didn't matter. So, yes, Will Rogers, watch out for him. Coach O is at the crossroads of his LSU career. Carl the Cat, Carl Dunn. Carl, thanks for coming in, man. Great comment again. Carl, I want to revisit a statement I made that I got absolutely obliterated for about a year and a half ago. In fact, it would have been February. No, it would have been the January 2020. Yeah, 2020. I said, 2020 will be Coach O's defining season, not for wins and losses, but for what he does to put the program back in a position to compete for championships. At the time, I thought he was doing a very good job of that, recruiting high levels. I thought Bo Pelini was a good hire, and I think that, there were some good things, but obviously that has not transpired. The reason why it was his defining season, you lost more than I think. And I've never seen a team lose that much. I mean, you lost Joe Brady, you lost Dave Aranda, you lost 19 starters, you had to start from scratch. And quite frankly, I mean, there's no player on this team 2 years later from that 2019 championship team who's really playing high quality stats. I mean, you might argue, I'm not going to go into specifics, but I mean, there's no superstar there from that team. All the superstars are gone, all of them. And you kind of had to build back from scratch. I think that's the crossroads of his career. The minute he lost everything, and he built it all, he brought all those guys in. What was he doing? And currently, I mean, it's a little slower getting this team back to a championship pace. Now, he might prove us wrong this year. That's very possible because Coach O does do a lot of stuff like that. And I told y'all 2 weeks ago, I think I'm the only one in media. I think Coach O is going to save his job this year. I think Coach O is going to say, I think he's going to do just enough to save his job. And next year's team should be better because they got some dudes on this team. A lot of young talent. Now, the one area I'm really, really worried about for next year is offensive line. Who's going to step up? There's things like, who's your backup center? Who's going to come in and be your center next year? That's a problem. You got some veteran guys across that offensive line. You got to replace those guys. So, I think Coach O was at a crossroads a couple years ago, and he's making some missteps, but maybe he can start getting, the pillars laid to go in the right direction. I think he got the quarterback, Max Johnson. Yo, guys, I don't think people realize just how good Max Johnson has been. Did you know that since he took over during his time, stats for LSU at quarterback, 62% completion, 19 touchdowns, 2,000 yards, 3 interceptions, y'all. Yo, that's really good. That's on pace to be one of LSU's best quarterbacks in history. Although, as Mike said on one of the old shows, that's going to get a little cliche just because of how hollow LSU's record book is in the passing stats, statistics, and whatnot. I remember when my guy Michael Clayton had a 1,000-yard season in 2003. That was a huge deal. It was like Josh Reed and him who were the ones who had done it recently. Not so much in modern football. But that being said, those numbers are more than good enough. Has he been perfect? No. Does he need to improve? Yeah, and he'll continue to improve. He'll continue to get better and better and better. He's a sophomore, y'all. He'll continue to get good. Bob Foley, go Tigers. Carl the Dunn. Numbers that need to touch the ball. 1. Absolutely. And they've been doing a lot of good scheme things to get one the ball in creative ways. 80, Jack Besh. 100% right. I think there's not a single person. 21, Corey Kiner. Look, you heard me go on my platform. I'm not gonna. I mean, look, y'all tell me. You tell me about Corey Kiner now, because I'm raving about him. Kid had 8 touchdown games last year. The kid's a freak. I mean, get him on the field. And 6, Deion Smith. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Those are your offensive stars right now. And I'm trying to think. We're missing anybody? 186, 21. No, I think that. Yeah. No, those are your 4 playmakers that I've seen. You need to keep them on the field because they're good. And yes, you have tons of other guys who can provide great depth. I love what I see out of Brian Thomas early on. I love what I've seen out of that catch by Malik Neighbors was great. Those are your stars, though. And I'm telling you, when I say stars, I think those guys are going to go on to be really good players for LSU. That's a nucleus for a championship type run. Keep them around, develop them. Let's invest into them. That's what I say. Tough runner, that's Jack Besh, absolutely. Think Mason plays well. He could stick to DN permanently. Jake Nola, great comment. Yes, absolutely. He's got that Marcus Spears type frame, those long arms. He's fast, he's lean, he's strong, and very importantly, he's very smart. A lot of people don't understand. He is possibly the smartest high school athlete I had ever interviewed. I mean, if not the smartest. I can't name one who is smarter, and high school athletes tend to struggle with interviews. I cannot name one who was smarter than Mason Smith. So I think, yeah, he's got a great chance. I do think he's got the more natural build for defensive tackle, but so did Marcus Spears, and look how that worked out. Kiner had that one run that looks like Edwards-Helaire with that spin move. He's, of course, talking about that touchdown. Absolutely. That legendary touchdown that Corey Kiner had. Now, look, I had to talk to my pops about this one because people kept on saying Clyde. And I'm like, I get the moves. I get it. But the runs, the running is not Clyde. Clyde was very short, low to the ground, muscly, little muscle hamster. Corey Kiner's got some long strides. You know who he reminded me of watching? And look, I didn't watch him live. And guys, if I have any older fans watching this, I need you to step up for me right now. I need you in this comment section. Tell me if I'm right. He looked a lot like Dalton Hilliard, y'all. Those moves, those runs, some serious shades of Dalton Hilliard. So if anybody remembers watching Dalton Hilliard play, please comment and let me know if I'm on to something here, because that was eerie to me, man. Very impressed. Ty Davis Price is really good when he gets past the line of scrimmage, but we don't have the O-line that can aggressively run block like that. Kiner is small. And that's exactly what I was saying. Aaron Felder, guys, we're getting some great comments tonight. I really appreciate y'all. Yes, Corey Kiner is the better fit for this team. And I think Tyrion Davis Price was a good fit on that 2019 team where he comes in relief and, oh, look, there's a hole. He's going to hit it real hard and go fast. He needs that hole. He needs to get to the second level. And right now, you're not even getting to the first level. You're getting hit in the backfield on average. He had 6 carries for 4 yards. And that's not all his fault. If you average less than a yard per carry, that's not your fault, the running back. But the reality of the situation is, are you going to fix the offensive line? Are you going to make plays with what you got? Hey, guys, if you're watching, please share to any Facebook groups. If I have any Christian Life people, because that's my alma mater, rocking the ring today. Got Michael Clayton, that's his alma mater. Share to a Christian Life group somewhere. I can't really work the show and share it, but I'd really appreciate my CLA people stepping up for me if you're here. Let's see here. Kiner has Barry Sanders type style with great vision, cutback ability, and versatile. Now that is some lofty praise, but I get where you're coming from. I get it. He does kind of look a little like a Barry Sanders. I'm gonna stick with my Dalton Hilliard. I like that. It's a good comp, I think. That O-line just worries me. It's just like, Zay to great 2K, 100% right. Guys, the issues I'm seeing with this offensive line I saw last year, and they're just miscombobulated. They're all over the place, y'all. We're missing blocking assignments. We're getting manhandled by McNeese State. The issues are, there's a plethora of issues. It's a great quantity of issues, not even quality. And ultimately, my diagnosis for why this offensive line's not playing is you hadn't recruited enough guys. I think you need 5 offensive linemen every year. And since Coach O has taken over, he's done an excellent job as recruiter, one of the best recruiters in the country. But the offensive line recruiting, we have a great breakdown on TigerBait.com of the recruiting. A lot of 3-star type guys who just never panned out. Most of the 3-star guys don't pan out. You're going to get a 3-star, you got to get a good scouting report on him and have a reason to think why this is an SEC caliber player. And quite frankly, those guys really haven't panned out. Offensive line recruiting has just been a step down at LSU. If you were ranking LSU's offensive line rankings, you're not looking at the number 5 class in the country. You're probably looking toward the bottom of the SEC, and that's kind of what we're looking at performance-wise. I think you're going to have to work around this offensive line. I don't think they're going to be world killers. They're not going to be Alabama bulldozing people down anytime soon. Dana is watching. Thank you. Mason Smith is a beast at defensive tackle with his moves to D end. Who can step up? Great question by James Phillips. Of course, Neil Farrell's been there since Jesus was a baby. He will be spreading the Red Sea here in a bit with his buddy Moses. He's veteran, proven, solid player. I do not think he was quite playing as well as Mason Smith. But you can also look for Jaquelin Roy and Jacobian Guillory to step up and play some substantial stats there. Those are both very talented players. Let's see here. Do you think we lost a lot? Yes. Jermaine Green, great comment there. Andre Anthony, that is a substantial loss. He was thriving in that role. And really, defensive line's a position you want to rotate a lot of dudes in. You want a lot of Jimmies and Joes at D-line. So, yeah, no, absolutely you lose a guy. I think Logan will play. Let's see here. One and done. Is that Coach O? We'll see. I don't know. So I'll make another comment about Coach O's future, okay? You got to make the decision. Here's the penultimate decision with Coach O. You have more talent playing Louisiana high school football right now than you've ever had in high school football in Louisiana. And you've got it in rare positions, offensive line, quarterbacks, like we've never seen it before. Who do you trust to make that talent turn it into LSU Tigers? That's number one. Number two, who do you trust to develop that talent into national champion LSU Tigers? Because that's the caliber of talent we have in this state right now. Number one, the answer is abundantly obvious to me. It's Ed Ogeron. He's the best person to bring this talent in and get them to become LSU Tigers. Number two, debate that amongst yourselves. I don't know. We're not there yet. However, O also doesn't hire very well, and that has been a point of criticism. Let's see. Up to this point, he has one good hire. It was Joe Brady. After all, doesn't interview them. Well, he did not interview Bo Pelini. I think these two coordinators are showing some promise. We shall see. They're developing. They're rookie coordinators, and just like a rookie quarterback, they're going to get better as they go along. So we shall see. I agree his hiring has been pretty bad at this point. Pretty bad. And Coach O, before these last two hires, he kind of had just this recipe for hires. Either hire someone, good old friend hire. Go with Chalk. The Matt Canada is the hot name. Okay, well, let's just, hire Matt Canada. And that's about it. That's all he would go for. Let's see here. Sick and tired of people saying these are rebuilding years. Well, I mean, LSU is a reloading school, and you should be sick of that, Aaron. There's no reason why this school should be, 500 SEC play. Talent available, resources available. I mean, LSU should be above 500 in SEC play and winning at a much higher level. I mean, the fact of the matter is 7-6 since that championship. 7-6 don't cut it. And I don't think Ed Ogeron's going to sit here and tell you 7-6 cuts it. Did you watch the Besh interview? He seems like he's ready to take up. Yeah, dude, I've always been impressed with Jack Besh since he was in high school. We have tons of interviews at TigerBait.com. By the way, y'all go check out TigerBait.com. We have tons of good premium content. Mike is editing videos as we speak. It's only $99 for the entire year to get you all the recruiting access, get access to our board where you can ask us questions directly throughout the week. Y'all go check us out at TigerBait.com. But yeah, no, not surprised at all. Ed Besh, he's very smart. Oh, that's not nice. Let's see here. Yes, Are You Serious Sports? This is my good friend Blake Ruffino. And I want everybody to know that I was Blake Ruffino's first fan of his Are You Serious Sports network back when, Neil Farrell had first enrolled at LSU and Jesus was a baby. Blake, thank you for watching. Yes, that's my high school jersey. I've got Michael Clayton coming on, who, of course, went to Christian Life Academy. And that is my high school. So I've got a little tribute for Michael Clayton up. I went and checked with my sponsor, Mike Tremonti, tonight, Tremonti's Seafood and Meat, and he was perfectly fine with me swapping out his flag for some tribute gear. But I do want to thank Tremonti Seafood and Meat for sponsoring our show tonight. Of course, it is sponsors like him that make what we do possible with these shows. So very appreciative of him. Let's hear from him.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and Homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill, daily lunch specials, and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremontes.com.
Blaine Smith, what's up, Blaine? Blaine, regular to the show, always has some good comments. What's up, buddy? What's up, Blaine? Thanks for joining us, man. LSU versus FSU kickoff next season. Primetime coaches, the Seminoles. Good question. Nah, I can't imagine there's anything primetime could do at Jacksonville State. I'm sorry. Yeah, is it Jack? No. What is it, Jack? Whatever. He's coaching historically black college. I don't see anything he does, and I think he wants to be there as a social political statement too. I don't see primetime coaching the Noles next year, but man, someone needs to, because that program is rough. Let's see here. LSU skill position offense will give them a chance in every game. It's just all the other positions. Defensive line's pretty good. Linebackers give them some issues, but yeah, the DBs and offensive. And look, running back has been a problem. I know Corey Kiner's been good, but we're talking about a guy with 23 carries and hadn't really played against any serious foes yet. So I'm not ready to say all the skill positions are great and all the non are not. Time to go to war. LSU Tigers ready to take off. In 19, Auburn defense slowed our offense with extra DBs. Maybe LSU should call Kevin Steele about the scheme against Mississippi State. Yes, Kevin Steele. He would love to give advice to his arch nemesis LSU Tigers. I don't. I think that's a little too close. I don't think Kevin Steele would want to give anything to LSU that might be used against him. Let's see here. Yep, Dalton. Let's see. Price doesn't have heart. Now, Randy, I'm not going to say that Tyrion Davis-Price doesn't have heart. I do think he has heart. I think he runs hard. I think he's doing his best. I just don't think he's a great fit for an offensive line that's struggling. Josh Reed still ain't got a highlight read on the internet. Man, that's a shame. Citizen 225, where you at, man? Get us some Josh Reed highlight. It's pretty. I can't believe that. That's wild. Doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but he played 20 years ago, and he was a beast. Let's see here. Hilliard was a beast with the Saints too. Thank you, George. Guys, I still want to hear. Yep, Dalton. Okay, that's what Dalton is. Dalton Hilliard. Yes, thank y'all so much for verifying that Corey Kiner does give off Dalton Hilliard energy. Let's see here. O doesn't get new hires unless a coach leaves. Too much dead money because of bad hires. Yeah, there's a lot of dead hires, but that's the nature of the beast with college football right now. I think Coach O is going to get it together. I still believe in him. If we lose our recruiting, we'll take a hit. Aaron, here's the deal. Great comment, great insight. And I'm with you. I think Coach O will do enough to save his job. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not going to give an opinion on that. That's for y'all. I'm going to leave that to y'all. But I expect he will do enough, and he will be LSU's football coach for the 2022 season. Now, recruiting, not make coaching decisions based on recruiting, because it's just not good for the long-term care of your program. What's way more important for the long-term health of your program is getting the right guy to lead your team, hire coaches, and really do. I mean, the buck stops with your head coach. So you really need a head coach who you believe in. So yes, recruiting will take a hit, but recruiting, that's one year of players. A coach should mean a lot more. So don't make a decision based on that. Like I said, here's your decision. Who do you trust to bring those players in with all this talent? And who do you trust to develop them? You need both. Makes sense. That's Blake. Blake letting me know that he understands that I don't just flex my high school stuff. I don't talk about my high school stuff very much, but this one's a little special exception. Still no word from Clayton yet, though, but he should be coming in just a bit. Very excited for this interview. A very rare Super Bowl national champion combo, of course. Let's see here. Lost my space in the comments. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. Have to be able to run the ball and stop the opposing run. This is true, but not this week, Richard Sinnett. This week, you got to stop the pass because they're going to pass the ball 54 times on average. Stop the pass. Stop the pass. Stop the run. You know, they've had hit and miss. I think defensive line is improving every single week with a lot of young, talented players mixing in with those veteran guys. I do think losing Andre Anthony is just such a sad and devastating blow. But running the ball is your biggest issue as a team right now. Max Johnson cannot take the pressure. He is not good. He's not Burrow good enough where he's so good where he opens up the running game, but he's pretty darn good. I think you gotta. I think you fix the running game with a Corey Kiner, period, and try to do some inventive off-pace runs with him, and take your licks if he goes east and west. Because right now, you don't have a north-south runner. You got a south runner right now. go. That's literally my Dalton James gang. All right, so Dalton Hilliard split carries with God, what was his name? Something James, Edwin James. I can't remember his first name, but yeah, no, James was the much higher recruited player than Dalton Hilliard was, and Dalton Hilliard came out and beat him out. Let's see here. Deion Smith, Besh, Kashawn on the field is scary. There's a lot of potential out there to be special this year, especially next year. And Zay DeGreat, that's exactly what we saw last week. It was scary last week. Did you see the stat line? Because that was a scary. I mean, Max Johnson threw 5 touchdowns. All those dudes had touchdowns. Yeah, that's scary with their potential. Now, how consistent can they be? It was very clear to me that they went with new guys. They gave new guys a chance to catch the ball. They've kind of done some shuffling this year at wide receiver to figure out who's your guy. And evidence of that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players have caught the ball this year. 13. They're playing around with it to see who their guy is. Now, Keyshawn Butte, there's no doubt about it. He's your get something underneath, make something happen. Deion Smith looks a lot like Justin Jefferson, man. And he's got those long arms. Get him the ball. Jack Besh, it's been incredible too. But, of course, they mixed it up with a bunch of different guys. And I think that's what you do with that 5th spot. You rotate in Devontae Lee. You rotate in Brian Thomas. You rotate in Core Moore. Give Trey Palmer a shot even. He's very athletic. But those guys, that's a legit core at the top. I think those 3 receivers at the top are separating themselves. Let's see here. He will be fired anyways. When is the question? Now, Tony Williams, if you do believe, we'll make the assumption that Coach O is not the coach of the future, but he does save his job this year, going 8-4-ish, something like that, and saves his job, right? You think the team's going to be worse or better next year? Almost certainly better. And then instead of a UCLA loss, I mean, I can't imagine Florida State will be good enough to beat LSU. So, I mean, there's one extra win in conference. I mean, I think even with a struggle, I think the offensive line should be better by plugging in some game-ready freshmen next year, really, and letting some of these young guys get some reps and stuff. I expect a guy like Emory Jones, very impressed with him out of Catacai. He's very game ready, and he's an interior lineman. I said on the post-game show, guess what? I'm going to go ahead and predict Emory Jones is your starting center next year. No coaches are even thinking that yet. No, I just know Emory Jones is very coordinated and very smart and can do it. Just based on, I've seen him in person. He's a very good player. He's shut down. He plays left tackle, of course, right now. I mean, every lineman who's an SEC lineman plays left tackle on their team, but he shut down some darn good players. I think he's one of the more underrated linemen I've seen in quite a while, and I think he is absolutely – I expect him – because, I mean, you don't really have an obvious plug-and-play center unless you get a grad transfer. And, like Will Blackwell said on my show a couple weeks ago, 9 out of 10 grad transfers are going to be Jonathan Giles of the world. 1 in a million will be Joe Burrow. So, don't really count on that. Agreed. Gary James. Thank you, Casey Campbell. Great comment. Gary James was the guy who split carries with Dalton Hilliard, and Gary James was very highly recruited. We're talking like this would be like like a Fournette, maybe not quite that good, but Fournette and some 3-star nobodies. They didn't have stars back then, but Coach McClendon came out and said, we like this kid, Dalton Hilliard. And people were like, who? They ran Dalton Hilliard. And y'all, if you watch Dalton Hilliard play, you'll know that they ran very similar. Look at I love having all these guys with my back here. Some old school references to some really old players in the 70s, and I got the generation in front of me got my back. Glad I listened to my grandpa and dad talk about all these teams for all those years. Got a good little history from pre my birth date. Let's see. Craig James. No, not Craig James. That was one of Mike Leach's old players. Maybe I won't bring that story up to jinx the Pirate, but y'all can talk about it in the comments. Do you think USC comes for Coach O now? LOL. That's tough. I'd say no, but I mean, maybe other fan bases have a different perspective on Coach O. I mean, he is a championship coach and he was at USC and he loved USC. And maybe USC is like, well, LSU's problem is X, Y, and Z. I mean, other fan bases think radically different things about coaches. And the fact of the matter is, there's only a handful of active coaches with national championships, and Coach O is one of them. So, you know, it is what it is. Gary James, West Jefferson, New Orleans. Look at Richardson Nat with some good data. And guys, I just got a text from Mike Clayton. He'll be in just a bit. So y'all stay tuned and look. If you're going to hit that share button, please go ahead and hit that share button for me. Michael Clayton coming in just a bit. Get any questions you have for Michael Clayton, 2003 national champion, Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants, played with Brad Johnson for Tampa Bay. I'm very excited about this one. Hit that share button for me. He'll be here in just a bit. I see him popping in. I'm going to let him get comfortable. I'm going to take one question here and get him on. By the way, linebacker play outside O-line struggles puzzles me the most. I mean, LSU has always been pros who can run and cover ground in a hurry. I agree. Linebacker play has been a little strange, but I mean, ultimately we're talking about 2019. You had a mass exodus, lots of guys, and you've struggled to find guys. And then the other challenge is, of course, switching from a 3-4, which Dave Aranda had that team 100% recruited for, to a 4-3, where you kind of have guys who are kind of square peg, round hole. Guys like Andre Anthony having to find a new home at defensive end. So that's kind of the puzzle there. All right, with no further ado, 2003 national champion, Super Bowl champion, Christian Life, Baton Rouge legacy prospect, Michael Clayton. Michael, how are you doing? I'm so excited to have you on tonight.
I'm blessed to be with you, man. Just getting back from a long day. My daughter had a volleyball game today, so we're just getting back to my in-laws' house, getting the kids bathed up and getting ready to go home.
Well, that's awesome. I think I caught a little bit. It sounded like a rambunctious atmosphere out there. So I'm glad you got to spend some time with your daughter. If y'all have any questions for Michael, get them in. I'm gonna go ahead and say what's cool for me. Of course, I went to Christian Life as well. Personal story about Michael. I'm gonna give you some good PR here on the show. So my house burned down a couple days after y'all won the title in 2003, and I of course have behind me. Let's see if I can get your name in that. I'm gonna move just a bit here. You donated, the church donated gear, and you signed just tons of gear for me as a little kid right after the championship. So that was a cool thing you did right off of winning your championship. So I'm very thankful for that. Of course,
that's also that was back when I was writing all the letters in my autograph. now it's just a line and a loop, a few lines.
Yeah, well, I remember someone would ask me like, well, what do you you talk about in the letters. I noticed somewhere you just have a straight one. In fact, is it over here? It's right here. On a no, it's stuck. I have a Tampa Bay Buccaneer card where you got a little more lackadaisical. You went straight with it, so that's funny. But I remember them asking, "Well, what do you want him to say?" I'm like, "Nah, I just want his name. Just put his name on there. I like it clean like that." So that was really cool for me personally. So right off the bat, I got to ask you a little bit of a lighthearted question. All right. I got my championship ring on from Christian Life. Let's see if I can get that in front of the camera here. Okay, state championship for Christian Life football, right? Now I got to ask you, 2000 Christian Life, Michael Clayton, Rashawn Matthews, all those dudes, or 2008 Christian Life, who are you taking?
Oh my goodness!
And look, don't. I talked to Rashawn about this the other week, and he said, "All right, man, where'd you play college ball?" I'm like, look, I wasn't a good player. You were a stud on that team, so I'm not making it personal. But I just wanted.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mr. Matthews and company. Those guys were a very physical bunch. No disrespect to your team and what you guys were able to accomplish, but I know that a few of those guys went on to have success, and they were a very physical football team that kind of set the tone for me. And one of the reasons why I decided to go to Christian Life, man. So I'm gonna go with Mr. Matthew, Rashawn Matthews.
Yeah, I saw Rashawn the other day. Let me tell you, man, the best athlete on that field was not on the field itself. It was Rashawn Matthews on the sideline. The dude is jacked to this day. Real good shape, man. He looks real good. But yeah, look, man, you had way more talent. We did have an NFL player, Dylan Farrell, but he didn't play as pivotal as a position as number 2 at quarterback. So
is he still? He's still in the league, right? He's offensive lineman.
Actually, he just got out a couple years ago. He played a little bit for San Fran, a couple for the Giants. Played some good snaps too, but he's out now. He's actually a coach at Dunham because, of course, our alma mater is no longer a thing. So they had to go to the arch nemesis up the street. No hate, you know what I mean? So transitioning to LSU, I do want to ask, so you played on that 03 championship team, pretty good coach on that 03 championship team who went on to do some really good things. But I want to ask you, on the same spirit of my last question, 03 LSU, 2019 LSU, who you got?
Man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say the 2019 team was a little bit better than us, man. They could throw the football all over the place, and I just believe with their speed and agility that they had on the perimeter, they probably would be able to put up more points than we would have. So I got to take the 2019 team.
Well, y'all had a pretty good habit of making Heisman winners look not so great.
Right.
I do remember that. I'll say that 2003 defense would be better than any defense that LSU team faced. But, I mean, I probably have to give I've never seen a player like Joe Burrow. I mean, he was absolutely incredible. Awesome. So what's really I just wonder about your perspective here legacy-wise. You came into LSU right before – I mean, you really launched the golden era of LSU football, kind of coming in with Saban and company before, it was they had some good seasons with DiNardo and whatnot, but nothing consistent and great. So you won that first championship in 58 years, I think it was, or 61 years, something like that. I'm not good at math. Anyways, and they've just gone on to do so much, but not only that, but the receivers, man. I mean, you and Josh Reed kind of started a trend of just great, NFL receivers at LSU year in and year out. When you think about your legacy at LSU, do you think that the things you were doing at LSU 01 through 03 helped put the program doing what it's doing nowadays?
Well, at the time, I didn't know what we were doing. We were just enjoying our day-to-day college lives, just trying to be the best players that we could be. And when I look back now, 20 so years later, yes, absolutely. Almost 20 years later, what we were able to accomplish as a team, I really feel like we built the program back up to where it is today. LSU wasn't a popular school to go to when I decided to go. It wasn't a popular school when Marcus Spears decided to come along, and we decided to go to LSU together, and that's just the truth of the matter. And when we came, man, we dominated, and LSU has never looked back. We've had some down seasons, but for the most part, LSU has been a contender in the SEC since we left. So I was fortunate enough to have a great group of guys with me that we did it together, man. We bonded as family, and I had a great group of talent around me, and no man could have done what we did by ourselves. But it was a collective effort, and it was very special to be with those men as teammates of my 2001 class.
Yeah, that 2001 class. I mean, recruiting rankings weren't quite what they are now, but anybody who knows what they're talking about, that 01 class was the GOAT for Louisiana. I mean, so insane levels of talent out of that class. Lots of great players. Did you ever consider going to any other school other than LSU? Like seriously, like not like an official visit somewhere. Were you ever like, man, I want to go to school here?
I wasn't going to LSU.
Really?
Never. Growing up, never thought once about going to LSU because that just wasn't the Baton Rouge culture.
It wasn't a cool thing to do, right?
You had Southern University in the town, and in my city, where I'm from, that's where the inner city supported. They didn't support LSU. It was some kind of beef, between two sides of town. So I was going to Florida State. Ward Dunn was my role model growing up. I played with Ward's brothers, Travis and Bryson. We played on the same Pop Warner team. So everything that Ward did was the footsteps that we wanted to follow in. And we were going to Florida State. Coach Bobby Bowden came into my house on a Saturday, and Nick Saban heard that he was in town, called my dad, and asked could he come over the next day on a Sunday. And I was going to Florida State, and I never knew who Coach Saban was. I had never met him and never knew his name, and didn't know that he was the new coach at LSU, just because I didn't follow it. But on that Sunday, the way he presented himself to me and my family was very special, man. And I got to know him that day, and on that day, he asked me to make a 40-year decision, not a 4-year decision, because he knew I was going to Florida State. I wanted to win a national championship. He knew that I had an opportunity to win a national championship at Florida State under Coach Bobby Bowden. But he said the people of Louisiana wouldn't even care. So who cares if I won a championship at Florida State? So he wanted me to make a 40-year decision, which meant, you win a national championship at LSU, and they'll never forget you for the next 40 years. And so when I thought about that, contemplated, I got on the phone with guys like Marcus Spears and Marquise Hill and, Andrew Whitworth, and, call those guys up and like, hey, man, maybe changing my mind, if we all decide to go together, how special would that be? And it ended up happening just that way, man. We all bought in. We all came to LSU, and we all made an impact and made a difference for our university.
That is really cool, Mike. That was some great insight, and I could go 30 different directions just asking you for all day about just things you just said. The one direction I'll go is you mentioned the legacy of being from Louisiana and what it means to play for LSU. So let's say you're a young man getting offers from anywhere in the country similar to what you were. Would you recommend playing, especially with the Louisiana culture in particular, staying for that hometown team, Louisiana, building that legacy there versus elsewhere?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I would recommend LSU to anybody simply because the football atmosphere, the college atmosphere is like none other. So, we really do something special in Baton Rouge in terms of our support. Our student section, our fan base is second to none in the country. Regardless of what's going on with our team, we're going to have the support we need, and it's going to be electric in the stadium every time that the Tigers suit up. So it's definitely something to be proud of. I wear my purple and gold almost every single day.
I love it.
Of my life. If I'm not sleeping in it, I'm wearing it throughout the day or have a hat on. because that's just what I love to do. I love to represent my college, my university, and people recognize our brand everywhere we go, everywhere I go in the country. There's going to be somebody who yells a "Go Tiger" from across the room. So it's very special to wear and to know that my class, my 2001 class, has a lot to do with people knowing who you are and what your colors look like across the country. And so for that, we have a lot of pride in what we do. And I know that everybody who decides to go to LSU will feel just like I feel, just so proud to wear the colors, to wear LSU and represent the university in a great way.
Got a great comment here by Josh Forbes asking if you talk to your teammates, and I'm going to pivot on that just a bit. Do you still talk to Coach Saban often?
Well, not often, but yeah, we do talk. He actually called me probably about two or 3 months ago, about 9 o'clock at night. I get a call from Coach Saban. Hey, Mikey. He calls me Mikey. And I'm like, Coach? I'm like, man, what's up? He's like, man, I saw an interview that you did. I always give Coach Saban the utmost respect and credit for life after football, because he was just such a great coach who taught us things that lasted long after our careers were over with. And he got me started in media and made sure that we knew how to do sound bites and stuff like that. So my media career, I kind of credit to him kind of pushing us in as freshmen and learning how to do that. He saw that interview and he called me to just say thank you, and that he was proud that players like myself and Marcus Spears and Ryan Clark and guys that had an opportunity to play for him are still doing well in media, man. So he's a great coach. I've been down to Tuscaloosa a few times to speak to the team, as I've served all of my coaches, Jimbo Fisher, Will Muschamp, all of my coaches that I play
all
with.
Of the SEC, huh?
Yeah, I still have a great relationship with all of my guys, and I support their young men just as I support LSU, simply because I can't discriminate when it comes to uplifting the young men in our country and that love the game of football. So I love my university. I'm a diehard LSU fan, but when it comes to uplifting the youth, I don't discriminate, and I definitely support my past coaches, my former coaches.
No, and that's a great message. And I mean, I know some LSU fans might catch you a little flack.
It's all good.
But I mean, look, anybody who's, harassing you for going and helping out young men playing football, I mean, they should probably check themselves first, see what, the real big picture is. I'm always interested in the LSU Saban players, about this dynamic of LSU fans really dislike Nick Saban, like a lot. Okay. But then there's also the awkward conundrum of what he built at LSU and the foundation. Like, I mean, every coach since Saban has won a national title at LSU. Do you think LSU fans should be more thankful for Saban and less begrudged of him?
No, I think they should be just how they are. It helps the energy in the stadium, honestly. You know how the people of the great city of Baton Rouge are, and across the state of Louisiana. We're diehard, and anybody outside of the purple and gold gets no love, no soup for you. So it just wouldn't feel right if they were nice to my old coach. I would just say, you leave the loving up to his former players, because the reality is regardless of how people feel in Baton Rouge, the players that play for Coach Saban are going to love him forever and respect him forever because of the seeds that he planted in us as young men. So we will forever be grateful of having being a part of his legacy, and our legacy being a part of his. And that's very special for us to see him have success and to know that we were the blueprint to his success. And we hold that near and dear to our hearts, knowing that, hey man, we were the first original leaders in that legacy of being one of the greatest, or the greatest college coach in college history. So we're in that category as well, man. So let our fans stay aggressive. That's what I like.
It's part of the fun of the game for sure. I want to ask, I was actually something popped up in my head. I was like, wait a second, Tampa Bay 04. Wait a second, Brad Johnson.
Yes.
He played on that team with you for one season, right? You remember playing with Brad Johnson?
Absolutely. Caught my first touchdown pass from Brad.
Oh,
Absolutely.
how about that? That is so cool.
I could catch every pass from Brad. He had a ball that's so soft and smooth, man. You can see it coming from a mile away and see the laces and pluck it with one hand. However you needed to catch it, you could definitely snatch a Brad Johnson football, man. But Brad helped me tremendously. By far, my best year of my 8-year career was my rookie year. I really set it on fire because I had a veteran quarterback like Brad Johnson who kind of ushered me in pretty well, man, and made sure that I knew where I was going. And he was throwing me the football that year. So we had some great memories together. And I was glad to be confided in when he was looking for schools for Max to go to. And he kind of reached out to me and asked me how the culture was at LSU. And I kind of poured my heart out to him and knew that we had an opportunity to get Max and that he would do well in the purple and gold. So we were great, honored to have Max in the purple and gold, man. And I think that he's doing a tremendous job so far.
That's awesome. And look, I know you don't get to watch every snap of him being involved with Florida media. You got your jobs and things to do, but in what you have seen out of Max Johnson, is there anything that you think he resembles his father when you watch him play?
Not at all. He's not at all. Like he's faster. He can throw the ball better. He can run 10 times faster. He pretty much does everything better than his father. All right. So no, I haven't seen any comparison. I will say that his demeanor was very special to me. His rookie year, seeing him stand tall in the SEC when he had his opportunity as a freshman. And I think he handled that well, and his composure in the pocket or at the position is probably the only thing that I would say resembles his father. His dad was very, very poised. His dad wasn't going anywhere, wasn't running. He had to sit back there, decipher what defense it was, and deliver the football. So Max definitely has more athletic ability, but his posture and his confidence in the pocket, he shares that likeness with his dad.
And what's cool is that was my first positive critique about Max is as a true freshman, the way he plays above the shoulders, that it's just unfair when your dad's an NFL quarterback, especially like a real headsy one like Brad was. Like you're like 8 years old learning how to read defenses. It's kind of an unfair. Yeah. I got a funny comment here. Carl the Cot. Still remember him catching the game winner in Kentucky. Carl, great comment. But Mike, a lot of people say you tipped that. First off, can you believe that we're coming up on 20 years?
20 years.
20 years. Look, I feel old too, man. I mean, like that's crazy. But could you tell people the truth? I've heard you go through this truth a few times on that play. Can you tell them what happened on the Bluegrass Miracle?
Yeah, dash right 93 Birdland was the call. We were 75 yards away from the end zone. And I had just caught, I think, about a 15 to 17 yard in route, called a timeout with 2 seconds left. And, we got the play. We had practice on this play almost every day at practice, at the end of practice. It never worked. And so the last thing that we were thinking about is just, not being seen on film, dragging butt or going halfway. Because Coach Saban was a proponent of playing hard for 60 minutes. And we were probably, in our heads, we were going to lose. This dash right 93 Birdland never worked. And we just needed to finish strong and finish going 100 miles an hour. And luckily for us, out of the 200 plus times that we practiced this play, Devery and I and other guys on the team would kind of formulate an adjustment every single time we would get stopped at practice. We would kind of say, hey, let's do this next time. So we probably ran that route over 100 different ways and kind of was prepared for anything. And in the midst of the play, we had to utilize a lot of the adjustments that we made within that year of practicing that play. I was the deep guy. I became the tip guy because I got caught up in the middle of the play. And, I jump up to tip the ball. And, that was the goal and the plan was to jump up and tip it. But the reality is I come about 1 centimeter away from the ball. And if you watch it's so close. If you watch the tape, it still looks like I tipped it. But the ball just barely skipped off my hands. And the defensive back, I guess, either got distracted or wasn't listening to his coach because he didn't try to knock it down. He tried to catch it. It bobbled off his hands and popped right into Devery's hands for one of the greatest victories in college history, man. 2 years in a row, we were able to beat Kentucky with a game winner. The year prior was on my birthday. I caught a touchdown from Rohan Davey on my birthday, the only game that my parents did not make when I was in college. I'll never forget that. But the next year was the Bluegrass Miracle, man, and I still get tingles every time I watch it online because it's just such an inspirational play. I talk about it simply because the message within it all, hey, man, you got to fail until you have success. And that's just what the compilation of that play was. A lot of failed opportunities, a lot of failed attempts at practice to finally get it right when we needed it to. So it was great to be a part of that, man. And I know everybody who was watching that game will forever have that memory etched in their brains, and that they'll never forget that play that day in Kentucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I have to ask you, you say, do you know that you didn't actually tip it by 1 centimeter by film, or did you think
I didn't know? I didn't know at the time. That's how close it was. As a matter of fact, for years, I didn't know I tipped it. Yeah. I thought I tipped it, and then one day I was watching the tape and I was looking at it real close. I was like, man, that ball didn't hit my hands at all.
I'm sure at the moment. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine how wild that was in the moment. Did you ever consider that it didn't work in practice because you were trying it against like Corey Webster and Marcus Spears and Chad Lavallee?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they always cheated. They were always holding on the play or doing something. So if that play did work at practice, Coach Saban would have absolutely lost it on everybody. So I think there was kind of some pushing towards the defense to win anyway, because nobody wanted to run after practice, especially not after a big play after the offense scores on the defense. But he was that kind of guy. He'd make you run for something like that, for the defense falling short like that.
Yeah, I bet. One of the comments that I've gotten from a lot of people is, LSU, obviously, since that championship run, 7-6, not where they want to be. There's consistent problems that they have. And I keep on hearing people say rhetoric like, okay, well, if Saban was the coach, he'd have them fixing this issues. What I want to ask you about, when you played for Saban, what's interesting about y'all, this was before Saban won 12 games every single year. He didn't play. There were some games y'all lost before that championship. When there were issues that the team did have, what was Saban's style of correcting the schematic problems that y'all had?
He was just always paying attention to detail. He never let mediocrity let anybody be content with mediocrity. He never let anybody be content with just being good. All right, the expectation was to be great every minute of the day, every second of the day, on the field and off the field. So it was just getting back to the fundamentals. He was always a person that paid attention to details, the effort. He would always point it out. Nobody ever got away with dragging or slacking, which is why we went 100% on that last play in the Bluegrass Miracle, because that was the standard. Even if we lost and was going to lose that game, we were going to finish with everything that we had. So when there were problems, which it was my sophomore year, we lost a few games. It was always about preparation, and it was about paying attention to details. Eventually, we got through it. You know, Coach Saban would have me do walkthroughs on defense from my freshman year to my sophomore year and my junior year at the beginning of practice, just for preparation in case he needed me for desperation or somebody got injured. And I ended up playing my sophomore year. He was just a man always dedicated to being prepared for any and everything. And he took the right process and the right steps to make sure that everybody bought in. So when things went sour, he went back to the fundamentals, not letting mediocrity slip through the cracks and just paying attention to details. That's what kind of coach he was.
That is so awesome. Michael, I really appreciate you coming on to the show. This was a really cool one for me. So I'm going to let you go here, but before I let you go, why don't you tell people what you're up to nowadays, and if they want to follow your work, how can they follow you and check out what you're doing?
Yeah, man, we have a platform called Players for Players, PLAYAZ, the number 4, PLAYAZ, Players for Players. And it's a social media platform geared for athletes and entertainers to monetize their brand. So a lot of people enjoy former NBA, former NFL, former MLB players, former hockey player, whatever it may be, whatever sport you're in, track, talking it up or chopping it up over social media. Well, guys don't get paid from that. So we're in the process of trying to build out this platform, bring as much attention to it as possible. So guys can get paid for what they do. It's very interesting now that college kids can get paid now. So it's a platform for them as well to get used to build their followers up on this platform so that they can get paid for just chopping it up with their good buddy across the aisle, across the way, man. So we got that going, man. I got Green Tiger in Tampa. Rocking. We're in Baton Rouge as well. Green Tiger Soft Wash. You need your roof clean, your house clean. That's one of my primary businesses, man. We've been rocking and rolling in Baton Rouge for 8 years. We're the number 1 soft washing company in Baton Rouge. So everybody knows us. We do our reviews. Got a tremendous amount of support from the LSU family and the LSU faithful. So thank you for all of our clients who use the Green Tiger to keep your houses up to par and cleaned. And I run the location here in Tampa. We just opened up our second location, Green Tiger Tampa. So that's the goal, to kind of keep building that business up, hopefully do an acquisition in the next few years, man, make it popular and then sell it off, man, and just relax and take care of the family. Got 5 kids, beautiful wife, married 16 years. She's a doctor, so she's my sugar mama. So I just sit back and like to get taken care of, man. But I enjoy my kids, man, and I stay in my Bible, man. I stay in my book. I love God, and that's pretty much my routine every day, giving thanks to the big man upstairs for the blessings that he's given my family and asking for other opportunities to make a difference in my community. So, man, we're extremely blessed. I miss my hometown state a lot, and enjoy when I get an opportunity to come back home for a game or two. I have to see what game that will be this year, but we'll definitely be in the building this year at some point this year.
Well, Michael, I'm so thankful for you coming on tonight. That's some great stuff. Good luck with all your endeavors. Appreciate you stopping by, man. You have a great night.
Yeah, man. I hope my mom wasn't too tough for you. In high school, man. You know, I share the same stories as you, Preston. My mom was my 10th grade English teacher, and she wasn't nice to me either. So, right, but I was a better man for it. I was a better man for it. I know you are too.
I agree with you on that one. You guys, she was my 7th grade English teacher.
Oh,
and my undisciplined junior high butt was not ready for Miss Clayton. She was tough. She was tough.
Let me apologize then.
No,
grade might have been bad. I had her in high school. Yeah, you had it bad. Awesome. You had it bad.
I'm glad we share that experience. Thank you, Michael. You have a great night.
All right, Preston, man. Great night.
Take it easy. All right, guys, that was a really fun interview with Michael Clayton. If y'all appreciated him, let me know in the comments. I'm trying to find some fun guests that you don't necessarily hear from all the time. I mean, there's a bunch of guys you hear. I mean, Marcus Randall was a guy you hear quite a bit around here and there. But I'm trying to find some nice, fun guests. That was fun for me personally. Having him, went to my high school and whatnot. I'd never actually gotten a chance to have a conversation with Michael. So just he had donated the stuff to my family and had his mom as an English teacher. So it was fun. Great comment, Carl Dunn, remembering the 01 Kentucky miracle. We won't call it a miracle, but it was, it was game winning. Devery took that award. Yes, he caught the Bluegrass Miracle. So great comments for him. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And a lot of people were talking about the Saban dynamic there, about, what Saban has done being ultimate positive for LSU. And a lot of people don't hate him. We went to another school, but, I'm just going to throw the counter argument as to why you might dislike Saban is, yes, he did build LSU, in a championship. And I think there's also an argument that LSU was always a sleeping giant, given the talent around. I mean, you saw the players. I mean, the players he named in that 01 class, those guys have always been around in Louisiana. It's just you got to get them to come to school. So I think they were always just a good coach away from doing that. And the counter, the devil's advocate here is what I'm gonna play here is that Saban has then cost LSU a plethora of championships since then. I mean, I think LSU, without Saban at Bama, wins at least 2 more champions. I mean, we know 2011 for sure. I also think that 2012 team could have competed, especially when you start thinking about guys like, Landon Collins that should have been, Cam Robinson, all sorts of great Louisiana players that weren't going anywhere else but LSU or Bama. I just look at LSU State from last year. We will beat them by 3 touchdowns. Look, LSU's got that much more talent, but they're kind of still finding an identity. And I think that a lot of the things that, fans and stuff are seeing and pointing out, the coaches are a little slower to react, or maybe they know something more, and I think that they're still trying to find their identity. I don't think they're there yet. Great interview. Cool cat, man. He was real cool. Well, I mean, that was a real fun interview. I still think it's funny because his mom, legitimately was the toughest English teacher I've ever had. College, all that good stuff. I have a journalism degree. No. Marjorie Clayton was the one who kicked my butt the most and probably kicked me into shape the most, if you want to know the truth, as a annoying little 12-year-old boy. Let's see what about the dentist? Can you get him? Dentist, Matt Mock. I'll try. That's one of the ones I've got on my radar, kind of that second tier. I've got a big wish list of I'm not going to go out there and say, yeah, I want Joe Burrow on my show. Like, yeah, I want Joe Burrow. So does everybody else. I mean, I'm not going to get Joe Burrow on the show. I mean, not anytime soon, but I've got a lot of interesting guys that I want to bring in very badly. Great interview. Thank you, Brad Wilkins, for the feedback. That was a great interview. What a great guy. Yeah, he is a great guy. And I could tell you that. I mean, he came and spoke to our team in the state championship. Very intelligent, great guy to have on the show. I'm really excited that turned out well. He's a great ambassador for LSU. That's right. And he's also a great ambassador for just in general young men trying to play the sport of football, and then, of course, subsequently building lives for themselves, because not all guys have those hand in hand. My coach in high school wasn't necessarily a, develop you as people kind of guy. A lot of coaches aren't like that, but he is 100% someone who's like, I want you to develop as a football player, but also to be a good man. I think half the job of a coach, which Michael Clayton's not a coach, I'm just saying he's involved with athletes. But I think half the job of a coach is developing young men to go out and make the world a better place. ultimately that's half the goal of being a coach. I think that's every coach's responsibility. Let's see here. Had Saban not been here, Les Miles and O would not be talked about as they are. That's right, Tony. But the deal is, if you think that, Les Miles wouldn't have done what he did without Saban doing what he did, then Les Miles would have been fired faster. Eventually the Rochambeau would have landed on a good coach at LSU. Eventually. Let's see here. Very cool from Barbara Montanino. Thank you. That's a Christian lifer there. Matt Mock, the dentist. Yes, I want to bring in Matt Mock for sure. We'll talk a few more things LSU football. I'm going to go ahead and start the final countdown. We extended the show here a little bit. We're pushing power hour and a half, but that's okay. I don't mind. I like talking LSU football with you guys. But y'all, any comments here? Let's see. What time am I showing here? 9:24. Get your comments in before 9:30. Any comment in before 9:30? I promise you, I'm going to put on the screen and I'm going to read. But first, I'm going to talk about my friends who make this show possible, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. They are your home of tailgating and homegating during the 2021 season, y'all. And I'm not BSing when I say this. I go there all the time. Every Saturday, I'm at Tramonte's. You might run into me. They have really good meats that you can grill or you can order catering. I love their burgers personally. Their ribeye po' boy is insane. Y'all, if you were here a couple weeks ago, you heard Will Blackwell talking about that one. Really good stuff. They have Chairman's Reserve Wagyu beef. So if you want that really good stuff to impress, there you go. 30 kinds of sausage. Their deli is open till about 3 o'clock or so every day. They do catering. They homegating, tailgating, whatever you need there. They're open on Saturdays from 9 to 5. So game day, you can go walk in. They are located on Old Jefferson near Parkview Baptist. Visit Tremontis.com or give them a call, 225-757-7665.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremontis.com.
All righty. Thank you so much to Tremonti's score prediction. I went ahead and said 34-28. I think LSU takes care of business. It's going to be a little closer than it should. Daniel Glenn, I did see your comment. I'm going to get back to it because it's a good one and it's insightful. It's going to take me a little while to get to it. Just want to thank Michael Clayton for the memories. Michael Clayton Long, thank you for joining us. Coincidental name drop there, but I like it. Carl Dunn, you need to do a contest soon. Give away some of his food. Hey, Michael Tramonte, I'm going to talk to you about doing a contest to give away some of your food because Carl the Cat Dunn asked for it. But if you want that contest, look, y'all go to Tremonti's and drop my name. Let them know Preston sent you in because that's how I pay the bills. That's how we do this show. So go let them know that you're there and you support local business and you support your local talk show on social media at TigerBait.com. All right. So the very insightful comment by Daniel Glenn here. Coach Jones' specific skill set was hired as a result of the debacle against Fail State, among others. If his secondary is ironed out, he will dominate, and of course, Max will put up point. Daniel Glenn, first off, I like the respect that you're putting on Max Johnson's name because, quite frankly, I'm looking at it. The dude's earned respect, and he's earned more respect than a lot of people are giving him right now. He's been very darn good as an LSU quarterback. Very good. Now, has he been legendary? No. But has he been really good? Absolutely. 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. We're talking about a kid who started 2 games as a freshman. He's 4-1 as a starter, y'all. He's been good. So first, appreciate the respect. Now, on Fail State, no, I don't think that you went for Durante Jones because of Fail State. That's where it started. But, guys, Bo Pelini's defense was historically bad last year. Bo Pelini signed that contract. He never interviewed for the job, and he was stuck in his ways. A lot of the rumors, reports I'm hearing, he was not interested in the advanced technology and fancy gadgets and gizmos that LSU had in their $28 million facility, virtual reality headset. He wanted to do things his way, and he was not adjusting. That is why Bo Pelini is no longer coaching. And I think they needed a coach. And I don't think Durante Jones, I think that he was highly recommended and he was considered a bright up-and-comer. And that's what he was going for, the next Joe Brady of defense. And thus far, he gets a passing grade for me. He messed up a few things against UCLA. UCLA was a bad matchup, though. I said that before the game. I continue to think it. That tight end was a beast. They had big power running backs. They were a good team. And on that night, they played good. That was a good team that night. Now, I don't know if they're going to end up being a good team this year, but that offense was certainly good. Okay. But since then, he's made some adjustments. They lead the country in sacks. I think Durante Jones has been good. Now, matchup-wise against Mississippi State, LSU matches up very well with this offense. You want this team to throw the ball 54 times. You want them to. You've got the best two corners in college football. You're getting Jay Ward back, who was playing pretty well before he took what I thought was an illegal targeting hit. I don't know why nobody's talking about that at all, because the running back lowered the crown of his head and boom, right into him. And Jay Ward looked up with that signature, look. I know that look. It is a mild concussion. They still haven't said anything, but I think that's what it is. If I'm wrong, good. But that's what it looked like to me. I think he'll be better. I think he'll go out and give some depth to the secondary where they need it. Communication issues, broken coverage, a couple things, but it's not like Bo Pelini where it's like every drive there's a broken coverage. Just like one or two games, something like that. I think they can get these issues squared away soon. Let's see, 6'6" defensive end we will be getting. I'm trying to think of the recruiting class defensive end. Josh Forbes, do me a favor, look up the name of that defensive end. I'm just trying to think about the heights and all that good stuff, and I'm getting it all miscombobulated. I don't want to talk about the wrong recruit right now. But drop his name and I'll talk about it. Legend in the making. I get Michael. I assume we're talking about Max Johnson, Michael Clayton. Legend's a strong word, but I mean this team has the nucleus for some special stuff. Barrett LeBlanc, getting the ball out quickly will help Max get the ball to your playmakers. Tempo. Absolutely. He is a slow thinker quarterback, and he's a bit of a slow release guy. He's been a little off on timing, but you know what? He does recognize where to throw the ball to. Sometimes he's a little off on his accuracy. He'll sail one or whatever. But, he's gonna be accurate on about 80% of his passes, and make some good reads. But he does need to be a little quicker. His timing is a little off, and sometimes that makes the receivers a little off. But, I mean, quite frankly, guys, aren't these things you expect from a true sophomore? I mean, nothing you're really seeing out of him is anything too terribly wrong. I mean, really, I think he'll be fine. How much longer will Tyrion Davis-Price show his skills before one of these freshmen get a real chance? Dalton Bennett, great comment. I think Corey Kiner gets the start on Saturday. I think he comes in as relief? Absolutely. I mean, he's still a guy who can play football, y'all. It's just what they're giving him. They're setting him up to fail. This team is not blocking well enough for Tyrion Davis-Price. The offensive line is missing assignments. Offensive line, you'll see people make the right play, but then they get blown up, and boom, they're messing up another guy who was going to make a good block. And then that one guy that didn't get blocked misses the play. And we see it on pass blocking a lot of times. They're not making their water calls. They're terrible at picking up blitzes. That's what's frustrating about this offensive line. It's not one issue. It's not, okay, well, one guy's got bad footwork, but maybe if you work on that. It's not, well, they're just missing assignments, but once they get there, they're making good blocks. They're making bad blocks. We've got footwork issues. A lot of guys have said they have heart issues. I don't like commenting on guys' heart and passion because players are different. I was a player when I got fired up and wanted to kill someone. I played worse. When I was calm, cool, and collected, that's when I played my best football, when I was thinking with a clear head. So I don't like judging that, but guys have criticized that. I mean, there's just a lot of plethora of issues, and I don't think this is an offensive line that's going to be an offensive line that can carry you to a championship anytime soon. I think you just work around them. But yeah, no, Tyrion Davis-Price, hopefully, he can come off the bench, be fresh, And hopefully he can get a freaking hole and hit it hard like he's done in the past. It's just this team is not doing it for him. And therefore you need a guy like Corey Kiner with shades of Dalton Hilliard. Defense will be defined. I think Saturday, you're correct. I think defense is going to be good this year. I don't think defenses anymore are going to be locked down 10-point per game defenses anymore at all. Like I'm talking across college football. But I think overall this year they'll be fine. But I think this Saturday they'll do a good job. That's a stud quarterback they got over there. Will Rogers. He's been, very good, and they've got some good receivers out there. I mean, look, he's thrown 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns with 1 interception. He's not their problem. Let's see. We need to get a running game going. Memphis ran on State. I mean, yeah, Carl, I agree with you. I think here's the challenge for this running game, because I don't think this offensive line does turn it around. I do not think they'll ever turn around. I think that you got to find crafty ways to do it. You got to do bubble screen. Look, call some more screens. Get better at running screens, because that's one of the ways. If your defensive linemen are white knuckling you and you're a guy who doesn't have, it doesn't have whatever, you're getting blown off the ball. You got to do something to make those guys second guess themselves. Do some cadence, by the way. Give me some hard counts. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I'm watching the film, but like, am I hearing? I don't know what they're doing cadence wise, but maybe do some hard counts. There are techniques to get to help out a struggling offensive line. Shoot, they used to build entire offenses around it. You ever heard of the veer? I mean, they're not running the veer, but I mean, like, you can make some adjustments. There's techniques to work around a struggling offensive line, and that's the kind of stuff you're going to do, because if you want to run the toss dive in between the tackles and just out physical them, you're not going to win football games. And we saw that with Les Miles when his offensive line took a step back to teams like Bama. They got beat. They didn't win those football games. So yeah, you run the football, but do it with Corey Kiner and do it in creative, crafty ways. Do you think defensive coordinator was hired? Well, okay. And I get where you're coming with this, Cam Rogers. Do I think that he was hired because he's black? The answer is no. He was highly recommended by Dave Aranda. That being said, there were some, tension in the locker room with protests and social issues, but no, I don't think that that's the exclusive reason why, because I mean, there's thousands of coaches who fit that profile, that if you're just looking for anybody, I mean, you can get anybody. I mean, there's tons of people who fit that profile. I think it's a plus. You want to have a young African-American guy recruiting a lot of these, young African-American players, connecting with the players better. It's a plus. It is. And I think it's a plus that shows tangible dividends, like something that will show up on the field because you can connect to your players better. And there's nothing wrong with that. But no, that's not the reason why. The reason why is because he's a bright young mind. They were going for that next Joe Brady type guy. And Dave Aranda, who, is absolutely excellent coordinator. He didn't get the respect he deserved, but he's an all-time great coordinator, in my opinion. Highly recommended him. And that's kind of, the mold they went with Joe Brady, and the same thing Jake Peetz was. I mean, Daronte Jones was every bit as qualified as Jake Peetz. He just didn't have that hot name connection, Joe Brady. And thus far, Daronte Jones been a little bit better than Jake Peetz so far. But I think they're both developing and they're both making adjustments. And I think Coach O's not the kind of coach who's going to sit there and not let you make adjustments. Carl Dunn. Ward is the QB of the defense. I've heard good things about him. I don't know about that. Let's see here. I got a lot of names. Wiggins, Jackson. Maybe I'm a little bit late here, but I'm just mixing the content. Max, yes, Max, legacy in the making. I can see it. He's a great quarterback. And it looks like he'll stick around for at least one more year. And he's going to project out to be very good. A few people calling for Nussmeier to start over him. And I get what you like in Nussmeier, but y'all, he ain't ready. He's a guy who needs some time to develop. I made a comment. Nussmeier's going out there every single play like it's, 4th and 50. And his team's down by 4 with a few seconds left. Like he's a guy who needs to take some time to develop. Max Johnson has done that development. Now he does need to keep on getting better, a little more comfort. There's things you can nitpick on him. Y'all, 62%, 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 4-1 as a starter. Numbers don't lie. Landon Jackson. Okay, so yeah, Landon Jackson, good player. I mean, he played a lot of tight end. He dealt with injuries in high school. Thank you for following up with that, because I mean, I would have guessed I would have been on the completely wrong recruiting cycle if I was going with the guys guessing. Landon Jackson, player out of Texas, long fella. He's gonna be he's a bit thin right now. Needs to add a little bit to his frame. I don't know if he's like a game one ready to play defensive end, but he's a guy with that big old frame. He played tight end. Injury issues have been a little bit of a concern for him, but I mean, quite frankly, without those injury issues, and if he's a little bit bigger, we're talking about a guy who's a candidate to be a 5-star prospect. So Landon Jackson, I expect maybe not year one, but add some meat on your bones. I think that's a guy who's going to play some good football. I don't think that's a someone you're bringing in for depth. I think eventually he is a star 4-3 defensive end. Really like Landon Jackson. Of course, everybody helps me out at the same time there. We got the right coach for O-line adjustments. Man, I hope so. I haven't seen it so far, Michael Clayton long. And I'm not going to sit here and blame what's his name, Brian Davis, for. I mean, he got Brad Davis. I'm sorry. Blah. I'm a little past my bedtime, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and blame Brad Davis for the issues of the offensive line. He got here a few weeks before the season. Now, do LSU fans have the expectation that the offensive line work with the offensive line and correct correctable issues? Yes. But in my opinion, the ultimate biggest problem with this team is that I'm sorry, with this offensive line, I don't want. They weren't recruiting well enough, y'all. Understand, if it ain't for a Harvard transfer, you don't have a center right now. You don't have a center. Let's see here. I'm going to see if there's any good. Reggie Bush wants Dion at USC. Let's see here. One last comment. I'm going to get to Daniel Glenn because he's got some good comments here tonight. We're going to wrap it up, call it a night. Best case scenario, getting beat by UCLA was the best thing that could have happened to LSU. Let them know they had to play all comers at their highest personal level. Let's see Saturday if we're ready to whoop some ass. Dude, that's a scenario that could play out. We'll just have to see if that is actually what would be best. So, I mean, maybe it's that wake-up call they needed, but ultimately an out-of-conference loss, not great. The error for margin is so slim after that. Well, guys, I want to thank everybody for watching our show tonight and remind y'all, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, Facebook page, make sure you do so. Hit that bell, get notifications when we go live. We have great shows. Mike Scarborough will be on tomorrow night with Buddy Sonji. I'll be on every week with a special guest. We'll have our post-game show. Lots of good stuff going on at TigerBait.com. Y'all go check out our site. Subscribe. It's $99 for the full year package. Y'all go give it a try. Good stuff. Thank y'all. Y'all have a great night.